Hello, fight fans. What up, Beefy Nation? A day late and a dollar short, but we're coming to you. We're going to break down UFC Fight Night Santos versus Hill, starting with the prelims. As always, I'm excited. Wild card, a lot to get into, a lot of fun. A lot of dope prospects. Dope prospects. I know we love talking prospects here on the breakdown, but some really, really exciting young fighters that could potentially end up being future main eventers, future contenders. Really exciting. And then also some veterans kind of rejuvenizing their careers. So I can't wait to get into it with my partner Harrison, as always, and here he is now.
Sent me three join requests all at the same time. It was like it was holding them all every time you'd accept it.
Jesus, bro. Well, hey, off to a better start than last week. Let's see if we can
Yeah.
keep this thing on the tracks here. But you can see I don't have my usual setup here. Still getting settled into the new apartment. Next week's episode should look a lot better on the eyes from a lighting and background type perspective. Um,
Here, we'll give the people what they want.
that's what you want. You're here for the logo. Let's be real. Such a fire logo. Still proud of that thing. Probably gonna have to get it tatted one of these days. Like, let's be real. That thing is hard.
Dude, yeah. Yeah,
That
I've
thing
already
is
thought about that. Like, that's definitely going to happen.
I know. I thought about it too, bro. But hey, man, episode 99.
99!
Fucking let's go.
Sheesh!
Cheers, bro. I got the howler in the cup. But,
Big Claw, 24 ounce.
oh, let's go. Let's go. Yeah, tall boy seltzers are the way to go. Like, I've learned that I can pretty much only enjoy seltzers in a tall boy form. Like, the small one, it's really a big waste
I
of
run through
time.
small ones way too fast.
Yeah, the pee to, like, drink, to, like, it throws the pacing off.
Yep,
Very
agree.
relevant.
That's why having some Howler on the side is a real nice little combo. The Howler seltzer combo is a real thing.
Oh, it's sustainable. It's so sustainable, for like a night of just keeping you right. But man, speaking of pacing, well, one of the stranger paced cards. Did you watch this live or did you go back and watch it?
I had to watch it behind, but I actually so I skipped through a bunch of the first half or the first prelims, whatever we want to call them, because 4 fights and then 6 fights, and I know that they had 2 fights fall out. And it was going to be a 6-6, I'm pretty sure, but like, why wouldn't they just downgrade the first fight on the main card? But Terrence McKinney would be a better featured guy on the prelim card than to just have all that extra time to do nothing.
Well, yeah. So the pacing. So we have, like you mentioned, two canceled fights, like day of or day before. And then we this the I mean it doesn't really spoil anything. I guess we got to talk about it. First card since Bisping Rockhold won to have all
All
finishes.
finishes, 10 finishes.
All
Now, had it had the other 2 fights and it had been finishes, it would have set the record for most finishes in a night. Record is 11. Obviously, there were 10 fights here, so 10 finishes. Man, I couldn't believe it. I got to through the prelims and I was like, wow, that was all finishes. That's crazy. Then I get 2 more in the main card, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I just couldn't believe it. And then I knew, like, as far as like the main event goes, Hill Santos, you don't think that's going 5 rounds for sure.
No, that
With
was
the
way strict.
with the tough finales, they're so new to fighting. Good chance there's finishes there. Now, I will say the Luke Neal fight, neither of those guys are hard to finish. Both of them.
Yeah. No, that fight ended up being like taking place. Just that fight blew my mind. We'll get to it. But blew up a couple parlays for you, boy. But also, I was bummed, man. That like Priscilla Cachoeira was the only dog I picked on. I went chalk. Cachoeira
I
was
saw
the
that.
only dog that I picked. And so when her fight got pulled, I was salty because even if my parlay hit at that point, it was a one leg. I had her on a 2-legger.
Now, I will say on the bright side, new rankings are out. And
that'll be dope for the pod because usually we have to speculate when we do it on a Sunday.
And I don't know if you follow that account, UFC Roster Watch. It's just like a bot that like scans their USADA pool. So anytime people get cut or added, I see it. And people literally have been memeing the site for 4 months with Sam Alvey smiling, smoking a cigar, like waiting for him to get cut. And he fights on this card. So if he doesn't win, it's assumed, right?
Yeah, I saw those cigar smiling Sam Alvey memes were hilarious. I saw those as well. But I guess we can dive in here. We're going over UFC Fight Night, Hill versus Santos, as we mentioned. Starting with the prelims, as always. That's what we do on the Beefy Boy breakdown. We break down every single fight on every single card. Awesome. The only people out here doing that. And I appreciate everybody watching on Facebook Live. Anybody that's watching on Facebook, please go subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really does us a lot more good, and we really appreciate you. But, yeah, man, first fight of the night. We got Stephanie Egger, -125, fighting Mayra Bueno Silva, +105 at bantamweight. And, man, I'll be real. I wasn't touching this one with a 10-foot pole from a betting perspective. My gut did lean Mayra Bueno Silva slightly, but then it was one of those money line second guesses where I'm like, man, why does Vegas like Egger so much? Like, do they know something we don't know? Well, I mean, she's skilled. She's a good fighter. Like, I don't know. I always kind of like don't. My mind's eye doesn't think of Egger as being as like, I guess, good as she is. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, my perception versus the reality on Egger doesn't always line up. I have a few fighters I do that with.
I just always, when I watch Egger, I always think that she's just trying to strong arm the girl she fights, and that her technique is lacking, but her physical ability is over the top as far as like strength for the women's division, especially
Plus
bantamweight, I guess. Yeah, plus athlete, exactly. But I don't usually love plus athletes in the UFC. I'm usually much more a fan of technique, and I think that's what detracts me from even wanting to watch her fight. Is I'm like, I've seen bullies fight in the early days of the UFC. That's great. Love watching guys like Izzy, not new Izzy, old Izzy. But guys like that are just technically sound. You know what I mean?
I feel you, man. I feel you. There's something to that. And Bueno Silva, I thought she definitely had the edge in Nick Sirianni dog mentality. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. But really, though, like, that's how I viewed this. I was like, Egger's probably the better athlete, bigger, stronger girl. Bueno Silva's a dog, though. They said, I didn't bet this one. Wasn't touching it with the 10-foot pole. Very close money line. Vegas was pretty up in the air with it as well. But, I mean, so for a fight that lasts 1 minute and 17 seconds.
Wait, did we say the odds?
Egger -125, Bueno Silva +105. Sorry if I got that out of order, but yeah.
Oh, you're good. I just wanted people at home, if it's close odds from Vegas, they might not know. Who knows?
I mean, that's essentially a coin flip. I mean, that's literally as close to a coin flip as you can get without being a coin flip. And I think Bueno Silva started as the favorite. I think he got bet to that little slight favorite to Egger. I don't understand why people are going out of their way to put money on Egger. I don't know.
That's how I feel, too.
If I was going to bet anybody, it was going to be Bueno Silva, especially getting the plus money.
And at least she has flashy finishes. And if you're talking about a girl that wants to just be physically better that's going to go up against a jiu-jitsu practitioner, that's typically where a jiu-jitsu practitioner eats. That's where they get fed, is off people that are just going to try and strong arm them.
True. That's very, very good point. But yeah, man, so bringing the full circle, like, back to what takes place inside the octagon, man, said for a fight that lasts 1 minute and 17 seconds, a lot happened.
So much. The transitional phase was wild.
Egger, being the judo specialist, he kind of does a judo throw, gets on top of Bueno Silva, and bro, I'll be real, the ground and pound was vicious. Like, I was on the edge of my seat. I mean, I thought she was a nut hair away from a finish. I mean, she was getting damage off. Now, you can say that's why when people say, like, when there's snoozy fights and people aren't getting a lot of damage off, because every time you get damage off, you open yourself up to either get swept or at least bucked off, or, it's not – you kind of can't have your cake and eat it too as far as top position. It's hard to maintain top position and get damage off. I mean, the best of the best can do it. That's what makes them so great. But for the most part, it's kind of an either-or situation, and Egger was just so focused on the damage, which I personally loved. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, I loved what she was doing until she completely ignored the hips of the girl on bottom and let her literally get out to her side. And I was like, oh, that's so bad. Because then Bueno Silva just put her arm up around her head. And if your hips aren't isolated, you just circle out and you literally are on their back, essentially. If you have your, you know what I'm saying? If you had your arm over someone's head underneath and you could turn your body to the side and stand up, you're behind them all of a sudden.
Well, and I thought Bisping did a phenomenal job, especially, being as a guy that's known more as a striker. I mean, rightfully so. But, I mean, he called it perfectly on the broadcast. He was like, as soon as she gets her leg over on the other side of Egger's head, this is locked in and it's over. And, like, as soon as he said that.
Yeah, as soon as he said it, you see the hips swizzle, and it was like, well, that's bad.
I thought Bisping did a great job the other night. But yeah, so I think you see where we're going here. Bueno Silva pulls off the arm bar. Like I said, she was getting pieced the fuck up. But, like, Egger –
well, kind of pulls it off, though, right? I haven't seen any pictures from people in the crowd. I'm sure there are some.
The controversy.
But Egger said she didn't tap. Now, Ron McCarthy, longtime Vegas judge, guy sitting literally at the fence in front of him when it happens, says 100% saw her hand tap. Saw it. I saw it. And I believe Mark Smith said he did as well.
A judge did too, which is
Ron McCarthy, yeah.
Oh, that's the guy. Okay, so we have a little controversy, as they say over across the pond. But so essentially, Buena Silva, you see your stop, and I mean, the armbar looked locked up to me. I mean, I think Egger was dumb to even kind of contest this because, I mean, the other option was snap her fucking arm. I mean, in Buena Silva, you could argue should have done that.
Should have done now. Okay, great. I'm glad you say that. I was going to ask you who's wrong in this situation, Egger or Buena Silva. I think it's Buena Silva. It's the ref's job to stop you, not yourself.
Buena Silva from like an X's and O's
But
perspective.
Egger's a dick for it too. It's like,
From
bro,
like
she could break your arm. Like, be happy you still have your elbow intact.
it's like some unwritten rules. Like I know baseball has a lot of unwritten
Yeah.
rules. I mean, apparently jujitsu does too. You know what I mean?
Well,
But this isn't a soft rule. Like this is a fight.
but it's the same in basketball too. As if you're up 20, you don't just try to go like rip dunks down the middle and like do like leave your starters in, that kind of a thing. Like you don't do that, right? It's like the unspoken words of how the competition works.
Every sport has it. Every sport has their version of it, and you're right. It was. So what we're getting at here is the way that they were kind of all pretzeled up and rolled up on each other. Nobody, and I mean no cam. UFC has a million different camera angles. You can't see the tap. The viewer can't see the tap. The ref can't see the tap, and 2 out of 3 judges can't see the tap. We're left with like 2 people that allegedly see the tap. We have like a real JFK magic bullet situation here, and like the grassy knoll of Egger's tap. Like seriously, because it's like I believe she tapped the way
I do too. The way
like,
Buena Silva reacted and like the way she was so upset after the fight and was like, "No, I'm not shaking your hand. Like that's bullshit. Why would I shake your hand?"
I don't think Buena Silva is that good of an actress. If so, I mean,
That's what I mean.
She'll be in
That's what I
Roadhouse 2
mean.
with Conor McGregor at any time. But but yeah, man. Like I said, I believe she tapped. I think Egger was kind of like, well, let's see what happens here. Like kind of like on some Pedro Munoz energy, some you know what I mean? Just some kind of like, hey, let's see, let's let the refs kind of some you could argue some Aljamain Sterling, slightly different, but you see where I'm getting at, trying to work the refs, trying
Well,
to
it was super
play
messed up
lawyer
to
ball.
it was super messed up to me because like she tapped, Buena Silva lets it go. Egger like sits up, and if she hadn't tapped, she would have spun around and started punching her in the face. Why would she stop moving?
That's what I'm saying. It all looked too organic. Like everybody knew
Right.
what happened there. I think Edgar just kind of, and I think more so than denying it, which is like guilty. Dean Thomas had a funny analogy for it. She kind of just didn't say anything at all. Like I'm not going to snitch on myself.
Yeah.
Like if
fair.
y'all, which it's hard to be too mad at that. And it's like she kind of made the refs work, made the judges work. Now they did something that I learned something in this fight. They did what's called polling the judges.
Judges poll.
Went judge to judge and asked if they saw a tap. I don't know. Would they if they said no? Would they have stood him back up and let him keep fighting? Wow.
For sure. Yeah.
So it was a real interesting scenario.
I mean, shout out to Ron McCarthy for, I mean, just holding his word and being like, no, I saw him tap 100%. And then Tony Andy goes to the other judge and he says, Ron says he saw a tap. And the other judge says, well, if Ron saw a tap, I believe him.
Yeah. Well, I saw. So did you see Herb Dean rush in acting like he saw something? Bro, he got exposed. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. Herb Dean was like rushing in, giving opinions. You know how he does? Like he'll like give opinions in like controversial moments. Bro, so it got leaked. He was filming a cameo while it happened. And then he was like acting. He said he saw a tap. Bro, he was like filming. Now he was like looking up during the cameo, but he was like literally like filming a selfie cameo video. Like shout out to fucking Jason's retirement party or whatever the fuck.
Bro, this guy's literally doing cameos while he's supposed to be watching the fight. Like if you're a ref or a judge, even if you're not watching, or even if you're not the guy in the octagon or one of the 3 judges, you're supposed to watch the fights. And then of course they have the replay official.
No, it was whack, bro. Like Herb Dean got exposed. Like he was filming a cameo while this all happened, and then he was like trying to like rush cage side and like give his opinion. It was whack. Like it was. I have a big problem with it.
How much do you think Herb Dean gets paid?
Good amount, right? I mean, 6 figures got to be.
$500,000 per year from only the UFC.
More than most fighters, I think it's fair to say. Like
A lot more than most of them, yeah.
More than
that's
like
crazy.
85% of the roster.
That's crazy.
I mean, he's been around for, 20 years now? I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve what he's making, but I mean, to be cameoing on the job,
That's
Well,
what I'm saying. Well, that's my point. Is like, are they not paying you enough? Like, are you needing to do these cameos to make up for the money that
well,
you're
hey,
not making? Bro,
Chris
half a million a
Lovington's
year.
cameo king, and he got Puncher's Chance killing it right now. But you know, we're a
I love.
Howlerhead show. We're a Howlerhead show over here. But
You know what? I've had Puncher's Chance. It's actually pretty damn good.
pretty good. Have you had Tiger Thick?
No, I'll never. The internet's most hated man. I could never.
For sure, bro. But yeah, so Buena Silva gets the armbar, come like one way or another. I believe it. I don't. I'm on Team Buena Silva here, Team MBS over here. But
Me too.
so gets
Absolutely, me
the
too.
technical underdog win. Like I said, starts off a long night of finishes. First finish of the night. This one does not get a bonus. A lot of competition for bonuses, as you could imagine. But yeah, like I said, I thought Egger looked pretty goddamn good. It's just her like damage to like controlling position ratio was skewed too
Absolutely.
far. And she got it taken advantage of, which is what's going to happen whenever you're reckless against a jiu-jitsu practitioner, right? I mean, it's a story as old as time.
That's exactly right, man. I mean, honestly, too, I mean, not much happened in that fight. Like, that's a fight where you don't really learn much about either girl, other than Mayra Buena Silva's jiu-jitsu is still strong, and Egger's judo is still strong. Like, both their strong suits met. The girl got the sub, and I guess we can keep it pushing.
Yeah, keep it pushing for sure, man. We got Corey McKenna, minus 190 favorite, fighting Miranda Granger, plus 160 in the strawweight division. Another ladies fight to keep, start the card off. And I didn't bet this one either. Didn't know enough about Granger. I mean, I'll fully admit that. I mean, then it turns out I felt a little better when they did the pregame. Like, she hadn't fought in 2 years. She had a kid. She's been out of the game a little bit. So I didn't feel too bad for not, like, knowing too much about Granger. But yeah, didn't bet this one. I mean, McKenna, exciting prospect. I think the youngest woman in the UFC, if I'm not, or the youngest fighter.
Youngest fighter, yeah, 23 years old, and probably the funniest looking human I've ever seen in the UFC. She has a 59-inch reach, so her arms are under 5 feet in length from fingertip to fingertip.
Shortest reach in the UFC. Really wild build. The anti-John Jones. But
literally, like, I do not understand how she fights at 5'3". How is she 5'3" and her arms are 4 inches shorter than her height?
It's a wild build.
It's wild, dude. And she's 23.
Genetics.
She also looks funky, bro. Like, she needs to quit with this pigtail shit in her pictures.
Well, I did like how she left what I assume is Mason Jones in those boys' camp. I mean, how many camps can there be in Wales?
Yeah, you're right, because now she's an alpha male.
She went over to Alpha Male, which is hey, Mason Jones needs to catch the next fucking flight over. You know what I'm saying? But I respect that. You know, she's grinding. She's trying to get better. She's seeking different, camps. Alpha Male is a good place, especially if you fancy yourself a grappler. A good place to end up. And yes, Granger, 2 years off, had a kid. Kind of a weird matchup. You could argue this was definitely set up for McKenna to win. But, I mean, being so young, being so awkwardly built, I think there's still a lot of question marks there for McKenna. Now, round one, we actually see a completed round in this fight. How'd you see it?
Almost not. Yeah. So, honestly, early on, Granger clearly had the striking advantage on the feet. Great leg kick work, I thought. Was really exposing the reach difference at the very first, I guess, 2 minutes? Because then McKenna gets the takedown, immediately gets the side control, and you can tell instantly Granger doesn't know what she's doing here. Yeah. And then kind of is on top, back and forth, for that 90 seconds to 2 minutes after that takedown gets secured and the position gets secured. Then she starts to get the arm triangle locked in. And I swear, if the round was 5 seconds longer, Granger's just asleep on her back.
Maybe 3 seconds. No, I feel you.
Yeah.
It was saved by the bell for sure. Now, that being said, it was weird because, it wasn't necessarily damage, or was it? I don't know. I scored it 10-9. I think there's, if you're a real jiu-jitsu head, you probably see it as a 10-8.
Because it's as close to a finish as you can be. You have it locked. You're out on the side. I mean, I don't know how – Granger wasn't even, on the phone. She really wasn't even defending it well.
That's something that I think will forever be debated, even amongst MMA fans. Neither side's a casual take. You'll find hardcore MMA fans with each side of this fence. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I gave it a 10-9, kind of based off precedent, though. I wouldn't be mad if we started giving those type of rounds 10-8s or scoring close subs. But
I'm not either, but I do think that if you have someone rock to the point where like you're just piecing them up in the horn ends, in 1 minute they do not recover the same way as if they're getting choked. Because I mean, they just their blood flow gets back, they get the
Yeah,
air back in their lungs, and that damage doesn't hold through, right? Like
you're right.
when you're beating the
Yeah.
hell out of someone, that damage is going to stay on their face.
Yeah, no, and that's why I think this is just
That's
going to
where
be
I'm
one
the
of those.
10-9. I'm with
Yeah,
you.
me too, but I feel like it's one of those barbershop debates where each side has like a little bit on their argument. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, and I think there's an argument too for like the Sandhagen Dillashaw situation where you put him in a leg lock and then you tear his ACL and he has to fight the rest of the fight with no ACL. Now that would be worthy of the 10-8 because you're damage inflicted there. But chokes are hard to say that you did any damage.
it is. It gets real weird, real dicey. So yeah, round one, 10-9 McKinnon. We both saw it the same way. Also, like when McKinnon was able to get the takedown in the midair, like turn her away from the fence to get her in the second
Yeah.
down, like that's pretty high level shit. Like
Oh,
that.
that's
No,
actually that's the start of the second round. I'm pretty sure,
I
right? Isn't that takedown?
well, I thought she did
I
it
think it's
once in the
both
first
times.
round,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
both.
came
Yeah,
back to
I
it,
guess both were lift takedowns like that.
and
She
then
must have a pretty good amount of strength as far as her core.
oh yeah, well I think maybe that's where like the short limbs may be like kind of come full circle to like I don't know, I feel like you can get some good leverage. You know what I mean? Like in
Well,
football, the low man wins. You know what I
she
mean? Like
doesn't have that extra weight essentially from like the bone mass that would be there or like the muscle tissue. Like literally having less of an arm means that you
it
can have more muscle on the rest of your body.
it probably be like really hard to break the grip too. Like I don't know, like I feel like it's at some point there has to be some like upsides to having the super short arms, right? Like everything has pros and cons. Like I feel like somewhere in there with the
I think
wrestler.
I think short arms are great, not so much in wrestling, but more so in like inside striking, like uppercuts, short hooks, because you don't have to loop it as much.
Yeah, like
That's where I
DC
would
has
see the
short
only
arms, right?
advantage of it.
Like
I mean, yeah, but I mean,
not this, like yeah.
not this is like comically short. Like this girl looks like a kid. Like she literally looks like a 14-year-old. Like it makes no sense. That's why I'm like the pigtails, bro. Like you need to start looking a little older.
No, yeah, very like yeah, just weird visual for sure. And then now round two, like I said, she gets another big slam takedown, passes immediately to side control, which I thought was impressive. Like she didn't get the
Yeah.
takedown and then work her way to side control. It
She
was
like
all one
dumped her
motion.
into side control. Yeah.
High level shit, like high level shit. Like that shit is really impressive. And then, I mean, we'll get straight to it. I mean, round two only lasts 1 minute and 3 seconds. First Von Flue choke by a woman in UFC history. Super impressive.
Yes. I you know, I have problems with Von Flue chokes because you choke yourself whenever someone gets that on you because you just wouldn't let go of their head because you thought your guillotine attempt was there. But the problem with that is when you hold someone in a guillotine, they need to be in your guard or off to the side that you have their head on. The minute they get across your body, you don't have
Yeah.
any pressure. So
Which
let
was
go.
piss
So
poor
just let
fight
go.
IQ. Piss
Yeah,
poor
it's
fight IQ by Granger.
right.
But,
And
I
so
mean, that
it's like
happens in all sports. Like, teams beat themselves in all sports. You know what I mean?
true, but they're rare chokes because you'd have to be an idiot to get choked in one.
Are
I
you
mean,
getting
it's
that
just
little
truly
feedback in your ears? Are you hearing that?
no.
Okay, good. Hopefully the viewers aren't too. I'm getting some weird little like humming in my ear. I don't know, but sorry if you can hear that, everybody. But yeah, first women Von Flue choke in women's history. You know, I think there's something to be said about it, especially whenever the first women's Von Flue choke gets done by the youngest woman in the UFC. Like it's hard not to view that. Yeah, you can go glass half full. It was done by Granger. I feel you, but glass half or glass half empty. Glass half full is that like women's MMA. I mean, we're witnessing the level up like before our eyes. You know, the youngest
Yeah,
fighter getting a never before seen choke. Like it's really hard not to equate that to like a level up of women's MMA.
yeah, and I mean, where I should give credit to McKenna is that to recognize while your head is trapped, like, oh, if I reach over and just lock my hands around her, I'm going to counter choke her. That is impressive on her part. And just, for me, I mean, I know ring rust is real, but it was so damn obvious in this fight for Granger. So
Yeah,
obvious. And that also puts Granger on a 3-fight losing streak dating back to 2019. It's tough. And her last win before that was Hannah Goldie.
but you know how we feel about that. Bare Knuckles' next big signee. I know you saw the Instagram comment.
Oh my god, dude. People say,
But
why are you taking these picks? You should be training. Because you lost your last fight is why we say that, you dumb asshole.
Yeah, looked terrible in it, and just keeps posting ass pics, and so
That
I
was
left the comment.
like the pic you sent, like that she posted 2 days ago was just a straight ass pic, where she was literally like, "People tell me stop taking ass pics and go train." Well, yeah, there's a reason they tell you that.
Yeah, right. Maybe listen to him. But yeah, Bare Knuckles got to be stoked on that. Cannot wait for the Bare Knuckle debut over there. But yeah, Corey McKenna taking the exact opposite approach. One might say the anti-Paige Van Zandt, but very very effective with the grappling. Super impressive takedowns. I mean, it'll be interesting because, I mean, strawweight's the deepest, hardest women's division, which obviously has a downside. The upside is there's a lot of people for her to fight, and I think they will give her a slow-ish build to see what they have there.
Yeah, I agree with you, man, and I think she needs a slow build too. I mean, man, those physical limitations are going to catch her when she starts fighting girls that are like very impressive strawweights, and there are so many new impressive strawweights currently.
Yeah,
that I hope. I mean, honestly, with the move to Team Alpha Male was the move, because I
yeah.
think they're going to be able to coach her and make her effective in her wrestling and grappling, which is about the only thing she's going to be able to do, or clinch boxing,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
if she's striking in a clinch, who can be faster to the point than the person with the shortest arm?
Yeah, no, and strawweight is kind of a striking heavy division. There's going to be some matchups there for her. I mean, we'll
Oh,
see.
for sure.
Time will tell what her ceiling is. But, I mean, I feel like to be anything else besides dauber up would be a little bit of a hater move. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
all the
absolutely.
potential in the world. Now, we'll see what it ends up with. Now, I want to keep it pushing because this next fight, like, I'll be real. I watched season 29 of Ultimate Fighter. It was one of the first seasons I kind of watched in a long time. I kind of got out of Ultimate Fighter for a while, and it was the return of the Ultimate Fighter, so it wasn't on TV for many years. And so we got Brian Battle up next, season 29 middleweight winner on Tough 29.
He's the one that had Petrosian and Trayshawn Gore in this season. Is that correct?
Yeah, Trayshawn Gore and also who's the goddamn chode with the beard? Yeah,
Petrosky.
Not Petrosian, Petrosky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he beat Petrosky in the Tough 29 finale, and then I think beat Trayshawn Gore in his last fight.
Yeah, right, because Gore was supposed to be the guy and then got hurt,
Yeah.
and so Petrosky got to step in. And he was like, "No, I want to fight the real guy I was supposed to fight." Won both of those. Now he has Takashi's.
Battle was the last pick on his season. Would you love?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They treated him like the runt, and like, bro, he honestly, like, his mentality is strong. Like, I think getting picked last put a fire on him to be the way he is. But not to belabor the point, it's a welterweight fight, 170. You got Brian Battle.
It's his
that's
welterweight debut.
So that's what I was getting to is Brian Battle, typically middleweight guy, I think realized being in the UFC, having access to the PI, talking to the doctors, I can make 170. And honestly, he doesn't even look that shredded at 70.
No, he was like before he started training MMA, he was like an obese guy. His first fight was at heavyweight. He has that's why he has kind of like the awkward
stretch marks on the chest too, right there.
Yeah, he was a bigger guy, and he started training to lose weight. It's a really cool story, but he's like kind of like Jared Cannonier-esque. And we'll get he posted the highlight from his first fight ever. He had no hair and was fat. It was wild. Didn't look like the same guy.
That is crazy. I mean, finally though, he gets a matchup that people, I guess, assume is favorable for him. I don't believe he'd come in as a heavy favorite or even a favorite in the first fight against Petrosky. I think he was slight favorite against Trayshawn Gore. But here he's minus 300 fighting Takashi Sato, plus 250 for Sato. Sato's a great kickboxer, very highly decorated, but you might not know it watching him fight in UFC fights or MMA fights, rather. Very weird. Like, he doesn't ever show that prowess, but it is known.
Well, that's where I was at. I think, as much as I like Brian Battle, I think the money line was a little bit of like, I don't know, like, who's feeling Sato in MMA nowadays? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, there's not a lot to be dauber up on Sato for. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was interesting. People, obviously, Vegas, myself included, this was the first leg of my parlay. I had Brian Battle. And, but yeah, I mean, especially how this fight ends is exactly what you're talking about with Sato's inability. He touts himself as a kickboxer, but when, gets in an MMA cage and forgets how to kickbox.
You know what, man? It happens so often. He's not the only guy that it happens to, but it happens way more often than I understand how.
And so, I mean, bro, this fight lasts 44 seconds. I mean,
As far as strikes thrown as well, Sato threw 8 and battled through 10. So, like, not even a high strike volume here to open. Just very
no,
important strikes. Really, one important strike, and that would be
yeah,
a right head kick.
yeah. In the ways Battle set it up was really dope, especially
Beautiful.
for such a young fighter. He threw the right hand in front of the right high kick. So Sato never even saw the high kick coming. He was getting out of the way of the hand.
Well, and Sato dodged off the center line to the same side as because the punch was straight, so he was trying to come off the center line, and the kick came and met him off the counter movement, and it was like, oh man, that's a nasty double shot.
Like, I don't even think Battle's hand was like back from the right before the kick was up. Like, the timing of that combo was wild.
Who were we watching last week that kept throwing that? Morales, right? The guy that would throw the left hook, left high kick, same time.
You're right, but it was the other side, different
Yeah,
stance. Yeah, that's
right.
interesting.
That is
Wow.
that is a really, really, really effective technique, though.
Yeah, and I mean, MMA is like all sports, right? So every league's a copycat league. Like, if something's working, I mean, how many guys we see like random Americans from Missouri doing Dagestani handcuffs now? I mean, if something works, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that day you're saying handcuffs undefeated. That shit's
yeah,
crazy good.
yeah. I mean, you see every pretty much if you wrestle, you know how to lace the legs now. Like, I don't know, it's if something works, I mean, in football, we saw the Wildcat. I mean, there's a million examples of it, right? But
Yeah,
the
and until
fast-paced
it,
Oregon, but then it
even
catches up.
think about the shift in baseball. Whenever a hitter that can't hit to one side of the field comes on, you'll see literally 8 guys on like the center line or over, just waiting for them to hit where they know they can't.
Yeah, no, that shit blows my mind still. Like all the old heads are fucking rolling in their grave. But
It's true though, dude.
no, yeah, it's really shitty. But yeah, appreciate all the comments on Facebook. Appreciate you. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment as well. Appreciate you, Tristan. But yeah, man. So Brian Battle gets the head kick knockout 44 seconds into the first round, keeps the fucking finish streak alive, knocks out Takashi Sato. I mean, this was a big moment for Brian Battle. And he had some dope call-outs. He called out what? Brian Barberena and
He's also literally so dumb for that call out.
I don't hate it. I don't hate
No,
it.
no,
I
no, no,
mean,
no, 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 no. He said
oh,
you spell your
yeah,
name wrong. They
but he
spell it the
exaggerated.
same way.
Hey,
Meanwhile, Brian Ortega's sitting there like, "Hey, bro, what are you trying to say to me?"
I know. Battle should have played that he knew it all along and was trying to get headlines. He later admitted that he was wrong, but I would have been like, yeah, but I got y'all talking about it. But hey, the Barberena fight is sick, first off. But there was another call out too. Who else was it? It was Barberena.
It was Barberena and
I'm
see if I can
blanking.
find it real fast. Oh, they called him out on it, by the way, at the post-fight interview just to keep it refreshing. Ian Gary.
Ian Gary, that's the
Which
real
that's the best call out. That's the best call out.
Who doesn't want to see that? I mean, because Gary needs a test, Battle needs a test.
Stylistically, they're a great matchup too, because like
They
they're
both
both
like
like
the kick.
kind of upper body heavy, good leg flexibility
Tall.
and range, tall, welterweights. They're just pure welterweights. Like I think they're both 6'1" or 6'2". Battle 6'1". Gary might be 6'2", but like the matchup is fantastic on paper. I even think the fight style matchup's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd rather see the Gary one. It was
And
sick
they both have a crazy chin too.
because so ordinarily, whenever you call out these guys that the people perceive the UFC's protecting, right? The Patties, the Ian Garys, there's certain people out there that they're saying that they're building, right? But it's like, so you mean to tell me they don't want to build their tough champion? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
The better Battle does, the better the tough looks, the better, it legitimizes all that. It makes the company looks good.
I mean,
So
if you think about it, like Usman was a tough champion, and they didn't put shit into building him. Like they literally struggled to find him fights by the time he was 9-0 and about to challenge for a belt.
Yeah, Usman almost like Conor McGregor, where he had a lot of fights that were supposed to be easy at the time, but aged really well. You know.
Like Leon Edwards, for instance. It's really crazy as well that they put so much smoke on DWCS guys, but they don't give a fuck about their tough winners. And the tough winners go through way, way harder stuff than the DWCS guys,
Yeah, I
as far
think
as living in that house, keeping
two
your
weight
weight
cuts
on.
in 6 weeks or something like that.
That's what I
Yeah,
mean.
no, I feel you, bro. But
Like, they
yeah,
should honestly give more respect to their tough people. It's also their show. Like, why would you not?
yeah, that's why I think Battle might get that Gary fight, because it's like, as much as they want to build Gary, it's self-serving to build their tough champion. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
of
I think
course. I
Battle
just feel like,
kind of worked that leverage a little bit, which I love to see a guy who's aware.
yeah, I just think historically the UFC doesn't do good for those guys.
Yeah. Because I think, what's it like, Michael Trezano a tough champion? Like,
I believe so.
yeah,
Sometimes
yeah,
it's tough.
yeah, those are the lean years. But yeah, man. I mean, great win for Battle. You could argue career-defining win for Battle. I mean, not defining, but career-building. First bonus of the night. He got $50K for it on a night full of knockouts. That proves how dope it was. I mean, high on Battle. What else you want from him? I'm high on him. I hope he gets the Gary fight.
I think he came with two
Dauber up.
fantastic call-outs too, man. And the reason he wants the Brian Barberena fight before the Y thing, that was such a miss. It was hilarious. So we're still talking about it. I'm laughing about it. So it's actually good promotion still. But he was like, yeah, you beat my legend, my idol, Robbie Lawler, so I got to avenge that.
That's
Which
cool.
also a cool little storyline. Like, building in your storylines in your callouts is never a bad thing.
100%. Love that. And
you know what?
I think that probably gets him on a main card, right? Like, even if it's a fight night main card. Like,
yeah, fight night main card for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
He also has a really great, like, energy and awareness of the cameras around him when he's coming to the octagon for his walkout. Like, he clearly is a guy that's built for the spot. Like, he has all those necessary tools.
I like him, man. I like him. I mean, now we'll see when he gets in there with like a dog wrestler. You know what I mean? Which Petrosky was supposed to be. I exposed a little bit.
I really think Battle is super well rounded.
No, Battle's good, man. I was surprised by the welterweight cut. Don't hate it though. He looked great.
I think he looks good at welterweight. I think that's the weight he needs to be at. Surprisingly enough.
We can keep it pushing to the second leg of my parlay. We got Smiling Sam Alvey plus 490, taking on Mikhail Oleksijek, minus 660 favorite, fighting that middleweight. And man, if that money line don't tell you everything you need to know. Like, I was shocked that it was that big, but I also wasn't shocked because, I mean, Oleksijek, I think, coming off a loss.
With Sam Alvey.
That was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed that. But, yeah, I mean, Oleksijek, we know him. He's a wild puncher. He's got Polish power for real, but he's not the most technical guy. He's a guy that, in theory, a veteran should be able to take advantage of his weaknesses, because Oleksijek has weaknesses. I mean, we've seen him exposed. You know, I mean, he's pretty one-dimensional, pretty rudimentary caveman game plan. He's going to come in and throw bombs. Kind of a throwback, honestly.
Yeah, he is, which makes you think that Sam Alvey would just understand, like, hey, dodge the big bombs and fight a smart fight.
Get a takedown.
Bro, if people at home are wondering why we're just clowning Sam Alvey so damn hard, it's because this man doesn't have a win. Doesn't have a win in 9 fights. Do you know that? He's 0-8-1. He hasn't won a fight since June 1st, 2018 against Jean Vellante, who literally got so fat he couldn't even fight.
Yeah, no, it's all bad. And I think he has one draw in there.
Don Jung draw. And he's not losing to fucking world beaters. Like, he lost to Little Nog. I don't hate that loss. Lost to Jimmy Crute. Don't hate that loss. Lost to Cledison Abreu. That's not great. Lost to Ryan Spann. That's not a terrible loss. 4-loss streak. Got the draw against Don Jung. Somehow got signed to a new 4-fight contract at that point. Then loses to Julian Marquez.
Or somebody or something.
I get. You know, Julian Marquez's girlfriend's a porn star, right?
Well, I mean, Julian Marquez. You know how I feel. I'm not a Julian Marquez guy. Like,
I know.
He's a bastard.
Well, I saw him in a picture. I just only saw this because he has a loss to Julian Marquez here. Wellington Turman, Brendan Allen, and then Oleksijek is who he's fighting here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the Wellington Turman loss either. I'm not high on him.
Yeah, and the losses continually get worse and worse and worse and worse. That's where we're at. Is okay, you're fighting Mikhail Oleksijek, Like, this is your chance
Yeah.
to like stay in the UFC. And apparently the UFC talked to him after the Brendan Allen fight and said, "Wait, you're not going to retire?" Like, they literally asked him like outright, like, "You're not going to retire?" And he was like, "Oh, I got one fight left. I think it's time for me to keep trying."
Yeah, man. I mean, it sucks. Even Bisping was like trying to show him love. He was literally just getting fucking rocked, and Bisping's like, "This is when Sam Alvey's dangerous."
Yeah, he was like, bro, that's so funny you say that because I was smiling so hard, smiling Sam Alvey. That's funny. Whenever Bisping was saying that, because dude, the guy's just eating lefts, like the sauciest lefts, whether they be straight hooks or jabs. He's just eating every left he can fucking find off Mike Mikhail Sajic's hands. And then of course he's like rocked against the fence, like looking retarded. And Bisping's like, sorry, don't cancel us, YouTube. Bisping's like, this is when Sam Alvey's most dangerous. He'll start throwing back, and if he connects, well, he didn't connect, Bisping, and that's going to be the problem, isn't it?
Oh my God, yeah, no, I mean, Oleg Sajic was swinging from the hip, but that's what he does. And I mean, yeah, they weren't that fast. They're definitely hard, but like the fact that a guy, he had no answer to just like a really sloppy left hook. I mean, they were fighting at middleweight, but I mean,
Middleweight. Alvey sometimes fights at 205. Alvey sometimes fights at 205, so he takes.
Oleg Sajic's last fight was at 205, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, we essentially have two light heavyweights fighting at middleweight.
Both guys kind of fighting for their career.
Yeah, and I think Oleg Sajic, yeah, I mean, he has that nuclear option, but it is sloppy and it is rudimentary.
I also think to be minus 660 on sloppy and rudimentary, as our description shows you where Sam Alvey's at. I mean, the guy's 33-18-1-1 or a no contest.
So like Masvidal's record or what?
Dude, that's like Jim Miller's record. It's crazy.
So this fight lasts 1 minute and 56 seconds. In that, he pretty much Sam Alvey got dropped once per minute. He got dropped twice. I mean, honestly, bro, I wouldn't have been mad if they stopped it the first time. The first time was maybe even worse than the time they called it. I think it was Herb repping this one.
Dude, yeah, it was. I thought Herb Dean gave him more than enough opportunity. At one point, when he was getting like just shelling before he stood back up to get dropped for the final time, Herb Dean was yelling, "Got to fight back, Sam!" And I swear to God, he like quit looking at one point and looked over at something else. And I was like, "God, are you doing another cameo?"
Doing cameos mid-fight. That's hilarious. But no, seriously. I mean, so Sam Alvey looked terrible. I mean, this is one that it's hard to even say Oleg Sajic got it back on the tracks. I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. He cashed the second leg of my parlay. I didn't even want to put this on a parlay. I had a parlay that I wanted to bet, but it just wasn't juicy enough for me, so I had to add some legs in there. But
for all the fans at home that just want to know what me and D-Mac are laughing about, it's so tremendous, dude. Oh my God.
But yeah.
Oh, that guy sucks.
Sam Alvey memes were flowing around. He was getting roasted, and then like he broke Chael's golden rule of if you're explaining, you're losing, and he was like going back and forth with people on Twitter like, I thought I was pretty good, and like it got real sad real quick.
That's insane.
Yeah, man. I mean, so Oleg Sajic gets the knockout. We have 4 out of 4 finishes on the undercard on the prelim, and yeah, man. I mean, it was an exciting prelim. Like I said, I'm probably highest on Battle, but I mean, all the fights were exciting. There was a million commercials and shit. The pacing, due to the canceled fights and due to all the first round finishes, the pacing was brutal live. Like seriously,
you had to wait 35 minutes for the first fight on the card in a 2 hour and 4 minute production. So you had to wait 35 minutes in a 2 hour window. You had to wait 35 minutes to actually get to a fight.
I got drunker than I wanted to just because I was bored. Like I was like, well, fuck, I need something to do. Like
yeah, you start watching Mac McNally videos and stuff. And what are you supposed to do? What can you do? What else is there to do? Like go back and start watching old fights in between to keep the juices?
Yeah, it was pretty brutal with the pacing. But yeah, man, that wraps up the prelims for UFC Fight Night Hill versus Santos, Part 1 of Beefy Boys Breakdown, episode 99, almost to 100. Support your boys. We've been consistent. We've been at it for essentially 100 episodes in a row. Haven't missed a card. I think that earns a subscribe from you. go ahead and head over to Beefy Boys Breakdown on YouTube. Give us a subscribe and watch our videos on YouTube. We'll have this one up shortly, uploaded to YouTube. But yeah, wraps up the prelims. We'll be right back in a few minutes to break down this main card.
Yes, sir. Fantastic main card. Got some more finishes.